Space, the final frontier. Join us for a bold conversation. Our prime directive? To recap our favorite Star Trek shows, both new and old. To engage in debate about all things Trek. Prepare to energize with phasers set to stun.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Phasers Set to Stun, where we continue to show our love for everything Star Trek in this ongoing series from a Film by podcast, which focuses on every quadrant of the expanding universe of Trek by covering television, animation, movies, directors, and more. Plotting the course, as always, is your core Trek crew. I'm David Burns.
I'm Scott Hoffman.
And I'm Wayne Whited.
In this episode, we continue our discussion on what we like to call Star Trek, a curated episode list for the first-time viewers. This spoiler-free list focuses on the top 10 episodes from each season. After listening to this episode, you can find the course we're plotting for you with our list in the description below. Gentlemen, I cannot believe we are on Season 5 of The Next Generation already.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. It's flying by, but it is. It's getting so much better.
Yeah, we're getting to relive these episodes, man. It's just so exciting to do it and get to talk about them as well. But you know, we'll get moving along here, our top 10 list. But first, let's talk about the continuing story, where season 4 left us off with Redemption Part 2. I felt this second part was a letdown.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it's not a bad episode, but after last season's Best of Both Worlds, it just didn't quite have the flash and bang like that episode did. But it's still worth watching. I mean, it's a very important episode, not just to the Next Generation, but to like Deep Space Nine. If you're just starting watching Star Trek with this series and want to continue on, you need to see this episode.
I completely agree. And you know, with today's budgets and the way they make shows, this episode probably would have been a whole lot better. I'm sure there were some budget constraints that they had to worry about, of course. We know that plagued the Next Generation a lot as it was going through the years, even though we got great scripts because of it.
Yeah.
I feel like it just, the letdown that we got with, we were expecting this big buildup and then it just never really happened.
Right.
I agree that it's not as big as previous cliffhanger resolutions have been. I found it still satisfying. I wouldn't say it's one of the best ever.
All right. Well, gentlemen, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and start talking about our top 10.
And I want to also point out, too, before we do start our top 10, is this aired during the 25th anniversary of Star Trek. So, you know, this was an important season. A lot of great stuff and some bad stuff happened this year.
And I know during this, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it a little bit later, but I know The Undiscovered Country came out during this season.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
So we'll be talking about that a little bit, I'm sure. All right, so we're going to start talking about our top 10. Of course, these are not in order as our favorites. These are in order as they were released and what we feel are the top 10 episodes of Season 5 that you should watch. Wayne, why don't you get us started with number 1?
And our first one is the second episode of the season, Darmok. Written by Joe Minowski and Philip Lezebnik, and directed by Winrich Colby. This originally aired on September 30th, 1991. The Enterprise makes contact with a Temerian ship, a race that the Federation previously had been unable to successfully communicate with due to their strange and almost poetic-like language. Out of their frustration to understand one another, the Temerian captain transports himself and Captain Picard to the planet's surface, hoping that a combined struggle and shared danger will help the two races learn. This is a great episode. This is one of the most memorable episodes of the entire series. You'll hear a lot of people quote this episode. It comes back later in like Lower Decks. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And it's amazing because it took 2 years to get this episode made. This is the writer, Philip Lezebnik. He wrote an original script. You know, he's a great writer. He went on to write Pocahontas and Mulan for Disney. But it was a struggle behind the scenes to get this made because Michael Piller liked it, but Rick Berman hated it. Fortunately, they were able to do some rewriting, get everybody on board, and they got around to finally making it, and it's no there's no question that they took some inspiration from Dances with Wolves on this one. In my opinion, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And I will say, and I'm going to say this now, and I know our producer Jeff Johnson's going to agree with me. This is when Picard gets the best look of Star Trek at all times. He has the coolest coat in this episode, the coolest look. Yeah. I always wanted this coat, guys. I did.
Definitely.
I was like, man, I wanted to go find this and wear this because it's just a cool look. And they're like the whole season. He just like this laid back, the shirt, the coat's always open with the gray shirt. I'm like, all right, Picard is a badass now. Come on.
He's ensconced in velvet. Yeah.
And Patrick Stewart asked for that to be designed for him. He wanted to stand out from the rest of the cast, and it definitely did that for him.
It did.
Yeah.
I love that look of Picard.
This episode is such a it demands a rewatch.
Yes.
Yep.
So first timers, you're going to want to go back and see it again, because it's as soon as you start to understand where that language is going and what these different phrases mean, it's so cool. It's so cool to dissect. On the surface, it seems like something that should not work. It should be just absolutely baffling and confusing and frustrating.
Right.
But wow, the dramatic places that they go with it. Paul Winfield.
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Oh, he's
incredible.
Oh, he's so good. So good. Of course, he, was previously Captain Terrell in Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
But the performance he gives here is just so... You can see the frustration through all the makeup. You can see the range of emotions he's going through. And I just think it's spectacular. This is one of the things where when you recognize somebody else that's a Star Trek fan and you say some of these phrases, it's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Whole nother level.
Another interesting thing about this episode, too, is this the beginning career of Ashley Judd.
Yeah.
She plays Ensign Robin Leffler in this episode.
Yeah.
Right. Never been in film or TV before this.
No. Yeah.
Very interesting.
And I thought she did a really good job. I believed what she was doing. She was a crew member.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And there's another first for this episode too. This is the first appearance of the Type 6 shuttlecraft, the new shuttle that was designed for the Next Generation. They took the shuttle that was built for Star Trek V and remodeled or redid it so that they could use it, because the one that they had built during the first season just didn't work for them. It was a beautiful model, one of the incredible models designed by the same guy that did the Enterprise. But when they went to build it full size, they just found out they couldn't match it. And they could match the design, the angles, and it looked like it was like the difference between a Ferrari and a minivan between the two. So they built this, and it's used quite extensively for the rest of the series.
Interesting.
Cool.
In doing the research for this episode too, I learned linguistic teachers have used this episode to aid students in understanding how languages work and evolve.
I can see that. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense when you watch this. It's like when you realize what's going on by the end of this episode, you're like, oh, holy crap, that makes sense.
Yep.
So cool. All right, well, we are going to move on to the second episode, which is Ensign Ro. This is directed by Les Landau, written by Michael Piller. A Solarian 4 colony sends out an emergency call, which happens to be near the Cardassian Federation border. It seems that a Bajoran ship under the command of a terrorist named Orta claims responsibility of destroying it before the Enterprise even arrives. The ship advises this was done in order to reclaim their civilization from their fight and struggle with the Cardassians. In order to help try to peacefully bring an end to this, Picard and the Enterprise are sent in with a Bajoran officer assigned to them to help, Ensign Ro Laren, who comes with heavy baggage and isn't welcomed by many on the ship. Picard and the crew do their best to bring a stop to this terrorism, but is there more to this situation than anyone realizes? Gentlemen, I know we talked about Michelle Forbes last episode. We said that she was going to come back as a new character. Here she is.
Yes.
Clearly, she got this role because she did such a fantastic job last season. And I'm glad she came back because her performance as Ensign Ro is just incredible. She fits in with this crew so easily. And the friction that she brings to these crew members. Right away when she's beamed on board, immediately Riker is like, look, come on now. I don't want to say what it is because I want everybody to be surprised by it. But it's like, and Riker's right in her face about it. And then that really tense meeting between her, Riker, and Picard in the ready room. Oh,
fantastic scene.
Good stuff.
Yeah, this one lays so much groundwork, I think, for Picard. The entire follow-up series of Picard.
And
not
Deep
to
Space
mention
Nine.
Deep Space Nine,
Yep,
exactly.
Deep Space Nine. Yep.
But tonally, I think this one, it's the first time that I can think of when you had a contentious crew member who is not, automatically, respectful and falling into line to for what you think that how a Starfleet officer should behave.
Right.
Very much to the contrary, and willing to bring new perspective in that way is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that, Wayne, like you mentioned, this has so much importance for understanding what's going on behind the scenes of Deep Space Nine. Hearing about the struggle of Bajor, hearing about a culture that's not necessarily being served well by involvement with the Federation, to be fair. That it doesn't always happen in ideal fashion, but you see a lot of growth, a lot of learning, a lot of digging into that culture, and just also so fascinating. Like Dave, you mentioned a great point that although she integrates with the crew really well at a certain point, all the friction that is felt in different places from her and from the crew, we haven't seen that yet on this series, and it's a great thing to see.
Yeah, and we needed that. I think the writers felt that too. We needed some kind of friction with the crew, and to bring this character in, it did it extremely well. For the people who haven't seen this episode, you're going to realize why that friction is there. Like I said, she brought some heavy baggage with her, and a lot of people don't respect her, and she's going to have to earn that with the people she's with, and that's not going to be an easy job.
And I do have one little nitpick with this episode, although I love it. It's one of the best this season as well. This season started off fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
But the scene between Riker and Ensign Ro, when he tells her she has to take off her earring, I never understood that because, they let Worf wear his sash, and they let Troy walk around the ship wearing anything she wants. But Ro had to take off her earring, which is part of the whole Bajoran religious with the prophets, and that always bothered me. I felt that kind of hypocritical of Riker.
I agree. I think it was. I don't want to say it is, but it felt like Riker was picking on her.
I agree.
Yeah,
I do.
That's how I felt. I think it's because of her background and what she did and how everyone felt against her. He was specifically targeting her, making her go strict by the book.
Yeah.
I mean, it does set up a great dramatic moment toward the end of the episode.
Yeah, it does.
But totally agree. It seemed like that's of all the things to pick on, it's not going to functionally get in the way or cause any kind of problems, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, but I don't know. But yeah, but what about that Klingon that's just walking around here? What about him?
Right.
Actually, didn't bring that up.
Right, I know. I would have. All right, so let's go on with our third pick, our third episode. Scott, what do you got?
So this one's called Disaster. A catastrophe on the Enterprise puts everyone to the test in various uncomfortable and critical situations. Picard has to lead a mini crew of children that are stuck in a falling turbolift, while Worf is in charge of helping Keiko deliver her first child in 10 Forward. Meanwhile, Geordi and Beverly are stuck in a cargo bay with a wildfire surrounded by explosive cargo. Riker and Data race through Jeffries tubes to get the ship back online without losing their heads. And finally, on the bridge, Troy is thrust into a leadership role as a ranking officer where she, Miles O'Brien, and Ro Laren struggle to decide how to keep the entire ship out of danger. In some ways, it feels like several mini episodes in one, but I think it's one of the best crew moments as we see more of them seeing more of their own potential. This is written by Ronald D. Moore and Ron Jarvis, directed by Gabriel Beaumont. I've heard some comparisons of this to something like the Poseidon Adventure.
Yep.
Good comparison.
I think it's so cool to see different aspects of the ship. We talk a lot on Lower Decks about where else would you explore. we get to see the inside of the turbo lift, like the elevator shaft of the turbo lift. We get to see Picard, I would say, successfully struggle with children, because that's never been his strong suit.
It's hysterical they
He
did that.
does it beautifully, though.
Yes, he does.
So brilliant. And it just feels like so many self-contained things that are just so cool to watch. And they all seem to kind of stand alone. They're all brought together.
Mm-hmm.
Of all of these things, I would say Troy in command on the bridge was phenomenal. It's very interesting. We just talked about Data having a certain, similar kind of situation in the premiere. I love those situations where they put an unlikely character in charge on the bridge and they just find a way to take command and say, this is how I'm going to lead, and this is what we're going to do.
And it took her a little bit too to find her legs, to realize, what she was doing. Because I mean, when she realized, oh crap, you're the highest senior officer, you're it, you're in charge. I was like, oh crap, of all people. But hey, I thought she did a fantastic job.
Yep. It's also worth noting, this is the last episode that aired before Gene Roddenberry's death.
Yep.
So we'll see a credit come up in a future episode to commemorate that event. Yeah.
And one thing that we didn't touch the last episode that was really the development of Chief O'Brien, which this is a big episode for him. The last season we saw him, he got his name. He was married in the episode he was married in the episode Data's Day.
Yeah.
And now, we got the backstory with his participation with the Cardassian fights. Now we get the birth of his child, Molly, who becomes another character and moves with him to Deep Space Nine. It's great that they're giving these backstories to these smaller characters. I mean, he's a great actor. He's been with the show since day one.
Yeah.
And it's neat through the seasons to watch his character develop.
Yeah.
We have to say that the greatest line in this episode is from Worf. Congratulations, you are fully dilated to 10 centimeters. You may now give birth.
Yeah.
And then later on in Deep Space Nine, when they have their second child, Worf says that he's going to make sure that he's not on the station at that time.
That's right. Probably a good call.
Yeah. Really, really good episode. I loved how they paired people off. I thought that was a unique idea, and it was able to keep the episode flowing extremely well. I think everybody they paired off did wonderful with each other, and I loved, especially Crusher and LaForge too. Some of their scenes together, having to get rid of the barrels because of an explosion that could happen and stuff like that. I just thought all that was really, really neat and well done. So, good episode. Isn't it interesting too? The song that Picard has the kids sing as they're climbing up from the turbo lift comes into play in a later episode in this season, guys.
Oh yes,
that's right.
Yep. Niagara Falls, Frankie Angel. Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. That's right. All right. Well, we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we will continue with our top 10. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Our next episode is our fourth pick. Wayne, what do we have?
Oh, it's a big one. Unification. This is written by Rick Berman, Jerry Taylor, and Michael Piller. Directed by Les Landau for Part 1 and Cliff Bull for Part 2. Originally aired on November 4th and November 11th, 1991. Hey, my birthday. Starfleet intelligence discovered Ambassador Spock's presence on Romulus, and Captain Picard and the crew of the Enterprise are ordered to find out why. After a brief detour to the planet Vulcan and a visit to Spock's father, Sarek, Picard and Data go undercover in a cloaked Klingon cruiser to the Romulan homeworld. They find Spock, only to discover his personal mission to reunite the worlds of Romulus and Vulcan and end the centuries-old conflict between the two races. As you had mentioned earlier with the episode that aired before Gene Roddenberry passed away. This episode is the first. Well, actually, both episodes this was done with, but Part 1 begun with a dedication to Gene Roddenberry. He, died just a couple weeks before this. But this two-part. It's a two-part episode. Is really known for one thing, and that's the return of Leonard Nimoy as Spock. Right. This came out just a few weeks before the release of Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. And Leonard Nimoy, he accepted the offer to appear in this as a way of publicizing the film. because I mean the film is strongly referenced in both these episodes.
Oh yeah, heavily.
It's an extremely important episode, not just to the Next Generation, but to Star Trek altogether.
I talked before about things that are important when you're thinking about the Picard ongoing series. I feel like this one definitely has beats that lead into that,
Yes.
right? With Picard's involvement with Romulus later, very powerful episode. Very interesting look into Romulan culture, I think, that we haven't been privy to before.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we visited their planet. Yes, it is.
It is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I know that we've heard from some listeners say that they kind of struggled with Sarek, the episode Sarek.
Yeah.
Watch this one for a payoff of that.
Yeah.
Very powerful performance there by Sarek in particular, and great to see Leonard Nimoy. I think he was just fantastic in this one.
That was a pleasant surprise to see. I mean, they advertised it that way, so we knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But to see him again, and especially with this, get to see him and Picard sharing screen time together, was just so wonderful to see and so warming to the heart. Especially some of the comments that Spock had made to Picard about, was it cowboy
diplomacy?
Cowboy diplomacy. Of course, clearly he was talking about Kirk. So I thought that was very humorous. But another thing I love that Star Trek does so well, especially this, is even though you get a lot of powerful, dramatic moments, you get those comedic beats too that they do so well. One of the scenes that I found so humorous in this is when Data and Picard were on the Klingon ship, and they were heading toward Romulus,
Yes.
and Picard's trying to go to sleep. And of course, Data's being the nice guy that he is, giving it to his captain, the one bed that's in that room. And then Data just basically goes to sleep standing there. Picard can't go to sleep because he's just standing there.
Dave, I love that you mentioned that so much because, oh God, I think about that scene so often when I can't go to sleep.
Yeah.
You just and then Brent Spiner's acting in particular in that when he's like, okay, I'll turn around, and kind of gives him this look like, okay, weirdo, like, here I go. By the same token, like, come on, Data. You've been around other beings for a long time, probably not in the same room where they're sleeping, but take the social cue and sit, man.
I know, right?
Like,
Come on.
pretend to sleep.
Here's something you guys might not know, but are you going to have to, because we're going to soon talk about Discovery. During the third season of Star Trek Discovery, there's an episode called Unification 3. And it's a sequel to this story. It shows that the Romulans and the Vulcans do eventually finally come together and live as one.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. All right, so we will move on with our fifth pick, and that is Cause and Effect, directed by Jonathan Frakes, who clearly is falling in love with directing, which we love. Written by Brandon Braga. The Enterprise finds itself caught in a time loop where the crew relive the same day over and over. During this day, they discover another ship coming out of a temporal distortion, which, when trying to avoid it, destroys the ship, killing everyone on board. It isn't long until crew members start to get a sense that they have been doing the same thing before. Feelings of deja vu are running rampant, leading them to try and solve a mystery before it becomes too late. Now, there is a surprise guest that we can't talk about. So I don't want to ruin that for anybody who hasn't seen this before, because it is a pleasant surprise.
Yep.
I do know they tried to get somebody else as well, but I guess it was too expensive to get her.
I think it was a scheduling conflict.
Was it a scheduling conflict?
Yeah,
Okay. Which is a shame, because if they had gotten both of those, that would just been wow.
Oh, yeah.
But we can't really talk about it. I don't want to ruin it. But I thought this was a really unique episode. I mean, it is a Groundhog Day episode. Come on. It is,
yeah, that's fair.
It is. So, when you see it, you're going to get that feelings all over again. But it is still a really cool episode, because one of the things that I love that Jonathan Frakes did is because he wanted to make sure when he reshot the scenes over and over, because you're reliving it like the characters are reliving it, he made sure to change camera angles. He made sure to mix that up so you would not get bored with seeing the same thing over again.
You're right. And there are no reuse shots in this. No reuse. Everything is newly shot.
Yeah. So when he goes back to like the card scene, you see a completely different angle. behind somebody or on the other side of the table. And he does that all the time when he reshoots the scenes. It's a different camera angle. And some of them are really cool shots, like with the camera way up high in the ceiling, like looking down, slowly moving. Man, Jonathan Frakes outdid himself in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the poker scenes, because I never expected the kind of dramatic device that could become, and it's used with such great effect in this one. Especially what you were talking about with like the different camera angles. Yeah, you're watching the same thing over and over again, but it's something new every time.
Yep.
It's such a cool thing to watch unravel. There are aspects of this that have to do with using knowledge to influence future events and whether or not to do this. This has a great dive into that kind of dynamic and what you should or shouldn't do. And I don't know, it's for an episode that kind of repeats the same things over and over again. It's one of my favorites to rewatch.
There was one thing also that it always bothered me about the Enterprise, and they finally corrected that with this episode. Is, if you look at the model, if you look at the ship on screen, we've seen it so many times now. The Enterprise has 3 shuttle bays, and we've seen the shuttle bay many times, but we've always seen only shuttle bay 2 and shuttle bay 3, the ones that are on the Cobra head, the bottom star drive section.
Right.
This is the first episode to ever show the actual main hangar bay, which is right underneath the bridge. It's a main plot point in this episode.
You're right.
Of course, the set was just too big for them to build. That's why we never actually saw it in live action. But they use it to great effect in this episode, and I was glad that they finally acknowledged there is a shuttle bay there.
It's about time, but yeah.
This is one where I can't wait to. We kind of use Jeff as the template to say, like, this is for first-time watchers. I cannot wait until he sees this episode and hear his reaction.
Yep, same here. Can't wait. All right, well, let's move on with our 6th pick, our 6th episode. Scott, what do we have?
This one is called The First Duty. This is a critical moment in the life of cadet and former acting ensign Wesley Crusher. At Starfleet Academy, Wesley is part of an elite squad that's getting ready for graduation. What should have been a spectacular start to their careers is struck by tragedy, as one of Wesley's friends is accidentally killed in a flight exercise. His crew answers questions about the circumstances of that accident, which quickly becomes a mystery. Wesley is put to the test in several ways, and we see some essential growth and unexpected changes that will reverberate throughout the franchise. Fans of Lower Decks will remember us talking about this landmark episode, and anyone who wants to watch that series should pay special attention to this one. Written by Ronald D. Moore and Naren Shankar, directed by Paul Lynch. This is the first appearance, I believe, of Robert Duncan McNeill, who would eventually play Voyager's Tom Paris. I was interested to learn that Nick Locarno was supposed to come back in Voyager, but I guess there were royalty issues because every time they would have a Voyager episode, they'd have to pay royalties to the people who created, to the writers who created this episode. Rightly so, but I can imagine that looking like a checkbook, right?
Oh, yeah,
just
absolutely.
never-ending checks. But I'm glad they were able to use Robert Duncan McNeill. He has such a great performance. The entire crew that Wesley is with does such a great job in this, and it's such a fascinating look at Wesley's character.
Oh yeah,
he goes in places that I would never have expected.
The scene between Wesley and Picard on the Enterprise, when basically Picard brought him forward to let him know he knows what's going on, he knows what happens, and tells him this is what you have to do. You have to make it right, basically. Yeah. That scene right there, man, I tell you, that was rough to watch because everything those two characters have been through together. And then let's remember the last scene they had together last season that we talked about in the last podcast. You know, when you think about all that and exactly what Wesley Crusher is protecting here and should not be, man, that was a powerful scene.
Yeah. It is. Well, and thinking about, Picard's relationship with Beverly and Beverly's reaction to this, like there were, 5 shuttlecraft that they had for this exercise.
Yep.
One of them could have easily been Wesley.
Easily.
That's got to be terrifying for both Beverly and Picard. Feeling that sense of responsibility, that need to protect. Wesley, and knowing how dangerous, how close danger is to him.
Yeah.
That had to shake him to the core.
That brings up a point that I wanted to make. The scene when Picard sits down with Beverly. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
And he's telling her, basically everything's okay. Wesley was in an accident. Her performance there, Gates McFadden, was outstanding.
Yes.
Because you could see her as a worried mother right there.
And this episode also has the first appearance of Boothby.
Yep.
We see him a lot more. He appears twice more, both in Voyager and the episodes in The Flesh and The Fight. But he's already been mentioned once before last season, and he's a very important part of Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, good old Ray Walston.
Oh, he's
I
fantastic
love Ray
too.
Walston.
I do too.
Great guest stars.
I used to watch the old black and white My Favorite Martians in syndication. And then after that, I had seen him in Next Generation, and I was like, oh, I automatically love this character. Automatically.
Yep, absolutely. I want to throw out there for Shannon Phil too, who plays Cito.
Oh,
yes.
I thought she did a really good job too, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to our 7th episode, Wayne.
And it is I, Borg, written by Renee Echevarria, directed by Robert Lederman. Originally aired on May 10th, 1992. The Enterprise crew find a crashed Borg scout ship, and within it, an injured Borg drone. Seeing it as an opportunity to examine the Borg more closely, they bring it on board the Enterprise. Starfleet wants Picard to use it as a weapon of mass destruction against the Borg, but the drone begins to develop free will and forces the crew to debate the moral and ethical ramifications of what they are doing to it. Now, this is a season of fantastic episodes, and here's another one. We had a great start, and now we're down to the final episodes of the 5th season, and we're ending on a high note. They just keep getting better and better. And this is gosh, this was such a shock, but such an important episode. It's the first appearance of Jonathan Del Arco as Hugh.
Incredible performance.
He'll return again. Oh, incredible. Yeah, he did a fantastic job. He'll return later in the season, and then he'll also have a major role on Star Trek Picard season 1. This is another episode that everyone talks about. This is the better episodes, one of the higher voted episodes of the season. This changed the way we looked at the Borg at this point. Before they were unstoppable. They did not have a personality. They did not have an individualism, and now we see that they can have that, and we had to reevaluate our thoughts on the Borg, and that's the whole point of the episode, to reevaluate your enemy, because not everyone can be the enemy, and it's also and I got to point this out because this is probably the reason why I love this episode is because of the very strong performances between Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Stewart. It's just so incredible. I mean, they're incredible in every scene they do, but you can tell that they love this script, and this is a favorite of all of them, and the scenes between the two are just so powerful.
Yeah. It's another one of those episodes too, because we got to the point now in this season where you feel like Picard has kind of forgotten about Locutus. He's forgotten about what happened with the Borg. He's moving on. Bam! Here we go again. He gets thrust right into his face again, and they want to bring this on board. Are you kidding me? And then, a lot of the crew members are fighting that. Of course, Beverly isn't, because she sees someone injured. She wants to take care of them. And of course, Picard is like, hell no, you're not. Right. And then obviously, he gives in. But the scene where him and Hugh are together in that scene where he has to become Locutus. Yeah. He's talking to him as Locutus, forcing him, to talk to him and to get the reactions from him. And man, that scene was just so well done. But so Wayne, you are right about when you say Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan and Patrick Stewart as Picard. Their performances are just out of this world in this episode, because it is.
And that scene that you just mentioned between Patrick Stewart and Jonathan Del Arco, where he becomes Locutus, is another incredible scene. I love when Captain Picard realizes, what Hugh said.
Yeah.
The look on Stewart's face, it's you can see the whole thing just changes. His preconceptions of Borg changed that moment right then.
Yep.
Yeah,
What did
you read
say?
my mind, Wayne.
Yeah.
It was chilling, and it's a very breathy delivery. It's just like, what did you say?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, yeah, it gives me goosebumps right now. Like, the beginning of that scene too was I remember the first watch of that it was fairly chilling. It was like, wait a second, is this a performance that he's delivering here, or is this like? You can see how, obviously it's not like nanites are activating or something like that, but you can see how much that's very much still with him. It's not something he left behind when the implants were removed. It's very much there. And, a crisp memory that he can pull up very easily. Jonathan Del Arco deserves so much applause for this.
Yep.
It's beautifully written, but his performance, and I'll tell you, the very last scene, there's a very subtle look that Jonathan gives. Oh my God, it is so amazing.
Yeah.
We're talking about emotional range from a Borg.
Right.
We never thought we would get, but wow.
Yeah, what I loved what the writers did here is you can kind of think like, oh, we're going to see the Borg again, here we go. But then they take it a completely opposite direction of what you expect to happen. And then they make you feel for that character that you want to keep them around. And they're like, no, we're not going to let you do that. And then they go in another direction. You're like, God dang you, writers. This episode was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we will finish our top 10. All right, welcome back, everybody. We are going to continue with our top 10 with our 8th pick, and that is The Next Phase. Directed by David Carson, written by Ronald D. Moore. A Romulan vessel is in distress, and the Enterprise races to help. The away team beams on board with the Romulans to assess and see the damage to its engine. Geordi advises he can fix it, but must beam it back to the Enterprise with Ensign Ro. In doing so, a transporter malfunction occurs, making it look like the two of them are dead. As the crew of the Enterprise do their best to assist the Romulans repair their ship, they also must make plans to honor those they lost. Meanwhile, it is uncovered that the Romulans are up to something, I know, shocker, and could be the reason the Enterprise crew members disappeared. This is another episode that kind of caught me by surprise because, we've seen the Romulans quite a bit. We've dealt with them, with the Klingons. We've dealt them, we did the two-parter we just had recently. So you really could have almost rolled your eyes with like, here we go with another Romulan episode. But you know what? They took this a different direction too that I found very interesting, especially when we get to see the stuff with Geordi and Ensign Ro. The other Romulan, if you know what I'm talking about, happens later on. The secret one, there's like, oh wait a minute, what? There's one of them too? That was really cool. Yeah. So much happened in this episode that I love. For one thing, is getting the Geordi LaForge and the Ensign Ro back and forth between the two of them, because Ensign Ro obviously was wanting to give up, and Geordi was like, no, we're not giving up. We're going to keep pushing forward and figure this out. And of course, we see what happens. But again, you're getting some more Ensign Ro that I loved.
We almost didn't get that. This was originally written to be a Geordi and Troy episode.
Oh.
Brendan Braga decided that Troy, she had too much to do this season already. So, and they wanted to highlight Ensign Ro, a new character. They wanted to bring her out, and that was the best decision they made right there.
Yeah, I agree. The one scene that I really, really loved too is when Geordi and Ro are on the shuttle cruiser with Data and Worf. Mm-hmm. And they're planning the funeral. You know what I'm talking about, that scene?
Mm-hmm.
I loved that scene so much because there you saw, even though he can't give emotions, you saw that love that Data has. He is, and he even says it right there. Geordi's my best friend. So I want to make sure this is right. And it just the scene between the two of them and the other two overhearing this. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. They're able to. There's so much emotional weight to so many little moments throughout this series, but you can see how much more we're getting of those. in every episode. Yeah, there were. I forgot how many. I mean, like, what I remembered most about this episode, from when I had watched it before, was just kind of the general premise, right, and the resolution, kind of the danger that they had to resolve. But I had forgotten about those emotional beats, and man,
Oh yeah,
they hit like a hammer.
they do.
Done
was the same way.
so well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remembered very little of this episode other than people running through walls. And then rewatching it, it really is a powerful and a fantastic episode. I mean, like I said, the end of the season is just incredible episodes, one after another. This was going to be their bottle show too. This was going to be their cheap episode of the season, but this actually ended up being the most expensive episode of the entire year because of all the blue screen. They had to film 2 days of just blue screen work. It was so much, it's not easy or cheap running through walls.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Well, and all the money they had to spend on that party too. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
there's that.
Let's call out Susanna Thompson too, who plays Varel. She will be the Borg Queen
Yes.
in some episodes
Yeah.
coming up. So we can't forget about that.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things I mentioned earlier about the comedic beats again, I want to laugh with when Ensign Ro did the phaser with Riker.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I was like, wait, wouldn't there be? That's okay. All right. Let it go.
Yep, let it go.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to our 9th pick. Scott, what do we have?
I don't know if I'm worthy to talk about this one.
Yes, you are.
Oh my God.
Mm.
This is one of the most poignant, self-contained episodes in the franchise and a very important moment in Picard's life.
Yep.
When the Enterprise encounters a ceramic probe, it begins to match their flight pattern and speed exactly, just enough to connect with Captain Picard through a particle beam. Knocked unconscious, he finds himself in a strange yet non-threatening environment, surrounded by people who care for him, although they believe he's someone else. What unravels is a fascinating look at another life and a mystery for the crew to solve without risking Picard's life. Written by Morgan Gindel and Peter Allen Fields, directed by Peter Lauritsen. I'm on the fence about whether or not to mention this, but I'll just go ahead and say it. Fans of Superman will see similarities for the man who has everything. Yeah. Although this doesn't have the same sinister tone, there's no Black Mercy in this one. But it's so powerful. It takes a minute, I'll say, when I first watched this, it took me a while to figure out what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to look at makeup application.
Oh, yeah.
And what
Everyone
that
too.
conveys.
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So well done. And it goes into places where I had never expected Picard's character to be able to go, but such an evolution for Picard. And one of the, it's another goosebump ending that is so subtle and so simple, but so powerful. This one's a big one.
When you think about, this is a very powerful episode, and I think even the writers admit they didn't realize how powerful this episode was going to be until it happened, and people look back at this as saying how it was a turning point really for Picard. If you think about what happened to him was 20 minutes in the cruise time on
25,
the ship. For him, a lifetime. He lived a lifetime. He got to experience life and be married and have kids and then all that be taken away from you. Can you imagine?
Just like wake up from a dream and not realize, it's so powerful. I mean, I can't understand how Picard could separate, reality from the fantasy. It's understandable that this would have consequences later on throughout his career or throughout the character's life.
Yeah, and this poor character, I mean, come on. He's been through so much. I mean, I know a lot of these characters have, but come on, man. You turned him into a Borg. He got to come back, and now you got to do this to him? Come on!
Mentally, it points out how important Counselor Troy's role really is.
Yeah.
Because the number of mind games that happen with these characters in these episodes is staggering. It's occurring to me that this episode has got to be such a gift for Picard as a character because of his love of archaeology.
Oh yeah,
this seems like it'd be an archaeologist's dream.
It would be.
Yeah. He had Patrick Stewart had said that this is one of the greatest acting challenges he's ever faced, in the 7 years of Next Generation, which I believe.
I can see why. Yeah.
Also, very interesting that his son Daniel Stewart plays a role in this movie. In this episode, although I can't say which. Spoilers
No, you
abound.
can't. Yeah.
But that was a really cool revelation.
Yeah. I think the two when Riker hands him the box at the end. Like, we can't say what's in it or anything like that because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But just, my goodness, Scott, you mentioned the ending of it. Just, yeah, Niagara Falls, man. Niagara Falls.
Well, yes, and there's thinking about the nonverbal acting in that scene in particular, in a lot of these scenes, and it's just done so quietly and so perfectly.
And,
boy.
I have to point out, music is very important to this episode.
Yes.
Not just the background incidental music, but the music that is incorporated in the story. It's a beautiful piece of music that's written by Jay Chataway. It comes back many times, comes back later in the season, and also not the main piece, not the flute piece that we hear most through the episode, but one of the side pieces that Picard, or Kamen, as he's being called on the planet, his son plays, is actually the theme that was used for Star Trek Picard.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just realized that.
And Jay Chataway had to get credited for every episode because they used that. That's a great little callback that people didn't even realize. I love this episode. I would even go as to say this is probably my favorite episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Wow.
Because the ending, this is the only episode of Star Trek throughout all the series. The ending makes me cry every time.
Oh, yeah.
I always am in tears at the end of this episode. And it rightfully so won the 1993 Hugo Award. It deserved it. It's the first Star Trek to win since the original series. And you got to watch this episode. It's so powerful and so fantastic.
All right, well, we are going to be moving on to our last pick, number 10. Wayne, what do we have?
Yeah, number 10 is the season finale, Time's Arrow, written by Joe Menosky, Michael Piller, and Jerry Taylor, and directed by Les Landau. This originally aired on June 15th, 1992 for part 1, and opened up the 6th season with September 21st, 1992 for part 2. On Earth, evidence of alien interference from 500 years ago is discovered in an old cavern near Starfleet headquarters. Within it, among the 19th century relics, is discovered Data's head. The Enterprise investigations brings them to the planet Davidia 2, where they find a race of time-traveling aliens. Data is accidentally pulled into the time portal with the aliens, and Guinan convinces Picard and the others that they must go back in time as well to rescue him, or history may be disastrously altered. They originally hadn't planned this to end. They hadn't planned to end the season with a cliffhanger. But at the time, there were a lot of rumors going around that the Next Generation was ending. They were unfounded, but I think it all came to the fact that Deep Space Nine was in pre-production at this time. They were starting to film, and with a new Star Trek series coming on, we couldn't fathom the idea of 2 Star Trek series on the same time. That wouldn't happen.
Never.
And that's why that we thought the series might be coming to an end. So this is the reason why we got this cliffhanger. I'm glad we did because it's a really good cliffhanger. But they just wanted to make sure everyone know that hey, the show's coming back next year.
Yeah.
And I got to point. I like this episode. I love time travel episodes. I'm a huge time travel fan.
No, I would never guess that, Wayne. No.
Wait a second.
Yeah. But I want to point out there are some great guest stars in this episode. Mark Alamo, he plays the poker player. He would go on and play Gul Dukat on Deep Space Nine, a very, very important character. Then, of course, there's Jerry Hardin as Samuel Clemens. I love his performance. He'd been on the show before, back during the first season, and then of course, he'll appear in later. He's been on everything, pretty much every show. Golden Girls, Lois and Clark. I know, David, you're familiar with him as Deep Throat and X-Files.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's a great actor, and his performances as Samuel Clemens is just it's funny. every time he's on screen, his mannerisms, his facial expressions, I laugh every time I see him. I love this episode.
Didn't he create a one-man touring show?
Yes, he did. That's right.
Yeah.
With Mark Twain because of this?
Yeah. Which you can see, and God bless him for doing it. I would go to see that in a heartbeat. If you're a first-time watcher that becomes a fan of this episode, go watch Lower Decks. We talked about a certain episode.
Right.
You'll howl. If you're a fan of Lower Decks and you've seen the Mark Twain episode, come see this episode.
See this one,
Because Jeremy Harden, God bless you. I love that delivery. It's so fantastic. Yep. Every single scene he just devours. He doesn't just chew it. Yep. It's a fascinating premise. I will say that my youngest son, Jude, when he saw the effects that they use for the phase, he was like, "Oh my God, that's cool!" And then I showed him the big the artifact that's revealed that causes a lot of the dramatic tension. He was like, "What?" And automatically wanted to see more. And I was like, "That's exactly what these things should do."
Yeah.
It's so interesting. There's it's kind of a blend of time periods, but just seeing how certain characters adapt to that so well. It's got some great comedic beats, some amazing comedic beats. And
with the anvil.
Yep. Ow. I've overexerted myself. And going back to Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan. God, I love Guinan. Her performance in this, it's very interesting. And this is another, like, there are so many that bear a second watch. This is one of them. Once you see both parts, then you go back to this one, you understand where certain characters were coming from. But she has some great scenes in this. I love it.
Yep. And we've been speaking about Gene Roddenberry. This is the last time he's credited as executive producer.
This episode also won the 1992 Emmy Award for hairstyling and costuming. So
it was all because of Mark Twain.
Oh, yeah.
90%, yeah.
All right.
And it's got a great cliffhanger, too.
It does.
It's not quite...
it does, yeah.
Never compare anything to Best of Both Worlds, because come on.
You can't.
But great cliffhanger. And a great period of time to think back on, like, this is VCR days, when it was like, we had to wait several months, and then couldn't rewatch it unless you had, you were mindful enough to record it. But it's a great cliffhanger for the next season, and you got to see how it resolves.
Yeah, there was a lot of open questions.
Oh yeah, there was no binging for us back then. We had to wait. We had to wait. It was terrible. It was terrible.
It was so hard.
It was really hard. All right, so that was our top 10 for season 5. So of course, as we've been doing in the past with the other seasons, we have some episodes that not our favorites. We love every episode that we have of Star Trek: The Next Generation, but there are some of them out there that we don't like as much as we do in our top 10. So we're going to talk about our least favorite episode of season 5. Wayne, what is yours?
Well, there were so many fantastic episodes this season, but I'm going to say my least favorite was probably a Conundrum. Just because it's so mediocre. There's another season of great episodes, and this is stuck right in the middle. They spend half the episode wandering around asking the question, who am I? Really, and then there's a new character just suddenly appears in the episode, Commander McDuff, and it's so obvious that he's all behind it all. But you have to sit there for a half hour, letting them play around it, saying, "Oh, is he? Isn't he? Of course he is." The only redeeming factor is it's a little trivia fact I'll give our listeners. The robot from Lost in Space appears in this episode, so go and watch it. See if you can hunt for it and find it. That is, if you can keep yourself awake for 45 minutes.
All right, Scott.
That reminds me. There's another artifact, and I forget which episode, but apparently Picard has a Shakespeare bust in his...
in the ready room or in the quarters?
In his ready room.
Huh.
It's you blink and you'll miss it, but it's kind of on the back wall, and I'm like, is Picard Batman? Wait a second, because it's the same one. Maybe. I bet there's like a button where he presses press the button in the neck. For me, I totally agree, Wayne. It's a lot of strong episodes in this season. The one that I don't believe I would ever watch again is Violations. Not that it wasn't well done, but the situations that you have to observe and endure are really unsettling. And I would find it very hard to rewatch. There were times when I was like, should they have gone here? And I really detest what it does to Troy. I just feel so, it's done in such a horrible way. And I don't mean that it was produced poorly or written poorly or anything else like that, but just disturbing. So just watch that one with caution, I would say, watchers.
I hate the alien costumes in that episode. I think they're so ugly.
With all the holes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
David,
for me, gentlemen, I really feel bad about picking on Lwaxana Troy. I feel like I'm always picking on episodes that she's in that I don't like. And Michelle Barrett's awesome. Yeah. But it's Cost of Living for me is the least favorite episode that I have. The Enterprise basically destroys an asteroid, then gets threatened with some kind of ship rot that is killing the ship. And then once again, Lwaxana Troy's falling in love. Can this woman just stop falling in love, for crying out loud? But seeing the antics of Worf's son, it's too much.
But we get to see them in mud bath. I mean,
no.
No.
Don't you want to see Lwaxana naked in mud bath?
No, I don't. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not picking on her because it seems like my least favorite episodes are ones where she's in. She's a great actress, and I love her as Lwaxana Troy, but just these episodes, I'm sorry, it just doesn't do it for me, man.
Yeah, I remember when I was first watching this series, there were I just have a memory of saying ugh, if it's a Lwaxana Troy episode, I'll skip it. If it's an Alexander episode, I'll skip it. Right. And then I see a screenshot for this one on Paramount Plus where it's both of them sharing the screen, and I'm like, I don't know. But to their credit, the characters that they portrayed, the role that they play in the franchise, certain characters cannot be denied how important they are and how well done it's by those characters. But then Wayne reminds me of the mud bath thing, and I'm like, I'm probably not gonna do it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I don't want to see that. No thanks. All right, so as the other seasons, we have chosen one of the crew members who we pick for the season to be what favorite moment we have for them for this season, and this one is good old Geordi LaForge. Scott, what is your favorite moment from LaForge?
It's the next phase. The episode The Next Phase.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned before the scene in the turbolift where I think he already knows certain things about his friendship with Data, but that moment of realization is just so impactful. And knowing where their friendship goes throughout the franchise, not to mention in Picard, it's just so powerful. Aside from that, in the same episode, just his decision not to accept what seems to be his fate, and say, well, no, I'm going to take a stand. Until it is proven beyond a reasonable doubt, I am going to stand up against this, and I'm going to do what I have to do. Yeah. And that shows such resilience in his character, and what you absolutely need in an engineer, and the reason that he comes through in so many circumstances is exactly that, and I love that. Nice. What about you?
That's a good pick. Wayne, what about you?
Well, I was originally going to choose a scene from The Next Phase too, but just earlier this week I saw an episode on Pluto TV, and I've changed my mind. This isn't one of our choices, but it would be a scene from the Masterpiece Society. The episode, the planet's in danger of being destroyed, and there's a society on it that's genetically engineered to make sure each and every one of the people on it are perfect. And there's a scene where Geordi is talking to the scientist Hannah Bates from the colony, and they're devising a way of saving the planet, and they come up with a solution using the technology of his visor, which is a piece of equipment that he would need if he was perfect. LaForge has a line that he says, "Who gave them the right to decide whether or not I should be here, whether or not I have something to contribute?" It was such a small but very
touching and great performance by LeVar Burton. That's I have to choose that one. It really makes that character stand out.
Good pick. Yeah, didn't even think about that one. That's a good choice. For me, I have to go with Iborg. The moment he realizes Hugh says I, and his turn to really caring about him as a character, as not just Borg, but as an actual human being. And then the whole ending thing. I don't want to say what it is, but you know that look that he gets at the end and how much he cares. The complete turnaround he had. That's my favorite Geordi LaForge moment for sure.
Good one.
Yep. All right, Wayne Scott, thank you so much for joining me on the bridge. It's always a pleasure to talk Star Trek with you two.
Lots of fun.
Likewise. Yep.
Yeah. I also want to thank the listeners. Hopefully you are enjoying what we have to say about Star Trek and our deep dive into the next generation right now. And I hope you continue to keep joining us. We have a lot on the horizon to talk about. Hailing frequencies are always open for you to share your thoughts and questions on social. Email us at afilmbypodcast@gmail.com. Find us online at afilmbypodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you're looking for more exclusive content and swag, send some Latinum our way through Patreon. Make now always the most precious time. Now will never come again. See you next time for another episode of Phasers Set to Stun.